Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you with an update on our winter storm, a blizzard working its way through the high plains and the northern plains, enduring a ice storm that is significant with ice accumulations over a half and 3/4 of an inch, causing some power outages and travel concerns. We're going to go over the radar. We're going to go over the forecast. We're going to get you caught up with a look at the conditions from road reports in the impacted states and a quick look at air travel as well. That's all starting right now. Let's not wait and let's get started with a look at the latest radar. First and foremost, keep in mind watches and warnings across the area briefly updated as follows. The blue counties you see encompassing a majority of the northern plains into the central plains, that's a winter weather advisory. Most of the coasts are quiet with the exception of those folks in the Carolinas, seeing some scattered showers and thunderstorms. That works its way up into Virginia, and that's fairly modest activity. A little bit of snow, light and variety, moving through southern parts of Idaho into northern Utah. The main event taking place where you see the bright pink counties here, that is a blizzard warning that continues until late tonight. An ice storm warning in light pink from northern and central South Dakota into that Fargo area of North Dakota, where ice accumulations are causing travel concerns as well. The precipitation with this system still impactful. The red counties you see in and around the Black Hills of South Dakota, in portions of Wyoming, Panhandle of Nebraska, are winter storm warnings also in effect until tonight. And the Denver metropolitan area impacted somewhat by this system as well. But to the south, as you go through the Palmer Divide towards Colorado Springs, even more so with some snow and wind potential with this system. It is winding down, but that's a look at what is going on right now. As we head into the evening hours, there'll be some changes as this low pressure system weakens, but it will take a while for area road crews to pick up the mess from this system. Now I'm going to show you the radar, and we'll go ahead and take a peek at that before we get too much farther along with the forecast details as I clear off what's going on with the watches and warnings from the radar for you here, so you can see. Well, this storm system is parked, folks. It's not moving anywhere as we work our way through. Hey, if you like the content on this video, I appreciate all the likes. Go ahead and tag a friend so that they can see that there's an update for them as well. Again, we're going to go over road conditions and take a look at what's going on with the storm system as it continues through the northern plains. Look at western South Dakota. That's where the heaviest snowfall potential is. This is basically from Rapid City and off to the east into central parts of South Dakota. That extends up into Fargo, but the blue you're seeing on the radar is not all rain. There is a healthy dose of freezing precipitation, the form of freezing rain taking place in the eastern Dakotas, and it has literally produced a no travel advisory. Jake is wondering how much snow that we would have if indeed this all fell as rain. We are at over 2.2 inches in the Fargo area as far as rainfall totals from this system. If that fell as wet, heavy snow, that's usually around an 8 or 10 to 1 ratio, which would put us at 20 plus inches of snow. So we've got a lot of rain, and in fact there are flood warnings on the Red River in the late December months. That's very unusual. But rainfall so high in quantity falling on frozen ground has caused problems there. Snowfall continues through the Rapid City area. You see Denver mixed precipitation into the high country. The storm does extend its way out, but the center of the storm focused out here, not far from Topeka, not far from southern and eastern Nebraska near Omaha. That's where the low pressure at the surface is situated. Look at Thunder Bay and the northern reaches of the UP of Michigan up here, seeing just to the north as we look onto the Lake Superior area, very heavy snow potential with that system there, as well as some winds. So it's still impactful. Let's get a look at some of the DOT conditions across the nation. And we do have power outages too. Let's go for that first. There are some, but the good news is, take a look at this. As we look across our nation, much of the power concerns pretty minimal as we head into the national picture. The blue indicative of areas that really don't have significant power outages for mass numbers of people. But as we look into South Dakota, there's hundreds of customers that are without power there. And as we look into North Dakota, the number continues to increase with the ice storm that's going on there. Almost 8,000 customers without power in North Dakota. For Wyoming and Colorado, the impacts on power very minimal at this time. but roads, not the case. Let's start with South Dakota, where the brunt of the storm system is hitting quite hard. Here is a quick peek at roads for South Dakota, and there are some areas where we do have travel that is not advised in some areas. That would be a lot of snow. Lori, that's for sure, when we can compare water to snow ratios here in the northern plains. Now, north central South Dakota, where you see the reds there, no travel is advised. The rest of the state open. The I-29 corridor out east is mainly just wet, as the white is taking place in the central part of the state. So where you see the pink and white dashed lines here throughout the entirety of central South Dakota into the Black Hills, we have either snow and slippery conditions, or we have flat out white conditions with difficult travel. As we take a look at that I-90 corridor, if you happen to be traveling through this section, there's a red line here. Portions of the highway very difficult to travel. In and around the Chamberlain area. As we take a look at a picture here, this is from the DOT in central South Dakota, with the roads that are appearing to be just completely covered with snow. Horizontal flakes in open country make it no fun to travel at all. That is a peek at South Dakota. Let's look into Nebraska, as this storm system continues to produce blizzard warnings for northern and central parts of that state. That is still impactful for that area. Now, check out a look at what we have going on here as it loads up. Now, there are some areas of impact in the western reaches where we have these red dashed lines here. We can look, and it says that in both directions roads are closed due to emergency vehicles and severe weather. So that basically impacts all of western Nebraska. As we take a look at some of these cameras out to the west, they're popping up with definite snow impacts. This goes all the way up to the Colorado border on Interstate 76 as it dives off I-80 and into the Denver area. I-80 in both directions closed in parts due to emergency vehicles on the road surface out there. So again, some of these images not showing a lot of wind and snow taking place right now, but the road conditions are just terrible with ice-covered roads. That's western Nebraska. In the eastern portion of the great state of Nebraska, we have some wet travel conditions through Omaha, though we see some purples here, and those purples on the legend on the right side here would indicate areas of covered roads, completely covered with snow. As you see the bands of snow and precipitation working its way through, we'll pick up one camera. Whoop, that one is out to lunch at this time. How about in the Vernon area? Doesn't look too terrible as far as visibility goes, and there are some ice-covered roads in eastern Nebraska to contend with. But other than that, that's improving conditions in the eastern part of the state of Nebraska. All right, so we've looked at Nebraska, we've looked at South Dakota, where the brunt of the system is taking place. North Dakota, take a look at this ice storm taking place up in the Northland in the frozen tundra. It is mighty cold, and that cold air at the surface, above it, we have a layer of warm air, and it's melting what would typically be snowflakes in these parts of the country into rain above the ground, and then it's hitting the frozen surface. The red counties you see here are no travel advisories through most of central North Dakota. That includes the state capital, Bismarck, out on I-94 is this east-west thoroughfare through the state, out towards Jamestown and Valley City, where we do have incidents reported there. So no travel advisories. We do have ice-covered roads in northeastern North Dakota near the Air Force Base in Grand Forks. So north and south on 29, north of Fargo, things get icy. Then they get dicey. But south of Fargo, things have been warm enough for just liquid water and rain to melt some of the ice. This ice was so thick on trees, it did cause some power outage problems. As you saw, thousands of people without power in parts of North Dakota, and there is ice coated on the roads. But the rain that took over today, over what happened on Christmas Day, allowing some of that ice in the Dakotas to melt. That's a sneak peek at what's going on across the nation with regards to this storm system and its impacts. We'll take a quick peek at Colorado too, as we look into northeastern Colorado. Let's take a look at the road report right quick there. As we take a peek at roads in the great state of Colorado, the high country there, not as impacted at this particular time as areas that are in the eastern plains, but we do have some impacts, it appears, in northeast Colorado and the mountains of the I-70 corridor. So where you see these red dashed lines in the state of Colorado, you're looking at the northeastern quadrant right here as we head up into Nebraska. So that's Sterling in the I-76 corridor. Numerous reports. The red lines, by the way, just because each state has its own color table, would indicate closed roads. So completely closed roads as we approach the Kansas and Nebraska borders of northeast Colorado. The I-25 corridor from Cheyenne through the Front Range of Colorado, including Boulder area, is solid blue, and there are icy conditions reported there. As we take a look at a snowplow camera that is in parts of northeast North Dakota where the roads are closed, it is kind of an interesting feature to take a look at what our road crews are dealing with as they try their very best to get these roads back open. This is a look at what they are seeing there. Again, I-70 eastbound closed in this particular area, and this is what it looks like to the plow drivers out there. So a lot of clouds, low clouds, snow, snow fog, and very icy roads taking place in northeast Colorado. Spread up into the high country west of the metro area of Denver on I-70, we do see some incidents reported in Asterix near Idaho Springs, and you go south on some of the roads south of Georgetown, and we have closed roads, County Road 381 for white out conditions in the high country there. It looks like there is a road closed here, parts of moving out of Kansas here as we go into the eastern plains of Colorado, east of Elizabeth and Kiowa out there. So we do have some concerns with roads in and around Colorado. All right, let's take a quick peek at what's going on with air travel. The good news here is most of the primary airports are showing that their conditions are a little bit better off. So let's show you that here real quickly as we look at the airport conditions where there may be some problems. If you have traveling to do today or all the way through tomorrow, because these warnings are in effect for some time, you'll want to check with your local airport for delays on your particular flight or your airline. Here you can see the swirly queue of this storm system and the center of the low pressure now sliding into southern and eastern parts of Iowa, where it's showing some rain depicted on the radar. Denver Airport green, the delays are minimal. Minneapolis Airport green, the delays are minimal. Some showers and wet weather working its way over the mid-Atlantic states into the Carolinas and the Virginias at this hour as well. So most of the airports are not dealing or contending with too much in the way of delays at this particular time. Western South Dakota into the South Dakota capital of Pierre, that's not the case. The Badlands seeing that. Fargo ice storm taking place as we zoom in to the Fargo area. Fargo is seeing rain, and it's kind of melting some of the ice right now. So that's a quick look at the delays to airport. Now let's talk about the forecast, shall we? As we get through this storm system, the terrible conditions will continue tonight. And again, we're expecting the travel conditions to be impacted into the Wednesday morning time frame as the storm does diminish in intensity just a bit. So up behind me is a look at what we have going on. Let's see if I can put myself or shrink myself a little bit into the corner here for you. All right, low pressure center tonight. This is a snapshot of 6 p.m. on this Tuesday evening for travelers. The snow continues, but the wind will begin to decrease. And this is when the blizzard warnings and the ice storm warnings are set to expire late this evening. So travel will continue to be terrible through the remainder of our day. The low pressure system parks here and stays here, but it starts to dry up as the pressure difference decreases, the storm weakens. That's going to weaken the precipitation fields as well. Let me show you what this system looks like as we go into the morning hours on your Wednesday. The low pressure system is still in northern parts of Missouri, not far here from the Omaha area and northeast Missouri, just north of Kansas City. Still some windy and breezy conditions there, but notice the precipitation field all but wrapping up while rain pushes into the mid-Atlantic states and the eastern Great Lakes region for Wednesday travelers first thing in the morning. The good news is the blizzard and ice storm should weaken, but the cold air is going to dive in the backside of this system all the way into the central plains. So road and travel conditions will remain icy over the northern plains and over the high plains from Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, Wyoming. All still some slippery travel conditions. Then here's a look at what's on the way. We're going to go through the remainder of the forecast period with a nice little warm-up, a bubble of warmer than average air. But as we go into the first full week to the second full week, in that first about 7 to 12 days of January, models are starting to hint that there's going to be a burp of cold air sliding out of Canada. We'll keep our eyes on this. This is a long ways away, but we still have much warm weather to enjoy as we head into the first month of the new year. We will have some areas with some precipitation here and there, but it doesn't look like any major and significant impactful storms. But the cold air is what we'll be turning our attention to next. My name is Hutch Johnson. I'm a meteorologist who's been broadcasting for 26 years here in the Northern Plains. I continue to do that right here on YouTube. If you like what you've gotten here, go ahead and subscribe to my page. Hit the little bell button next to it, and you'll be updated when I do go live. And again, I'd appreciate it if you would take the time to send me your comments on what we do here. And if you like what we're doing, again, I appreciate the likes and the subscriptions. Have a wonderful day.